Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Montana Farm Bureau Field Notes podcast. My name is Haley Drugsma. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the digital communications lead here at the Montana Farm Bureau Federation. I'd like to kick today's podcast off with a reminder that if you have anything you'd like to learn about, a pertinent news story, or someone you'd want to see us bring on the podcast, whether that's yourself or someone you know, please shoot me an email at haleyd@mfbf.org. That's HALEYD@mfbf.org. My goal is always to bring you interesting, exciting content about agriculture, and I'd love your recommendations. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode where we'll cover more issues like New World screwworm, the proposed Union Pacific-Norfolk Southern merger, a potential late Farm Bill 2.0, a letter from Montana's FSA Director Mike Foster, and more. Let's kick things off with some Montana agriculture news, starting with a reminder from Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks on posting private lands. Under Montana law, private land can be adequately posted in one of two ways. The written notice of a private property boundary, a no trespassing sign, for example, must be placed on a post, structure, or natural object. You can also officially post your land with not less than 50 square inches of fluorescent orange paint on a fence post, structure, or natural object. Where a landowner uses metal fence posts to denote a property line, the entire post must be painted. These notice signs and or paint must be placed at each outer gate and normal points of access to the property. Properly marking private property is important, especially given the passage of Montana House Bill 354, which we supported through its passing last May, that amends Montana's criminal trespass laws to strengthen penalties for individuals who trespass while engaging in outdoor recreational activities. Specifically, the new law mandates that a person convicted of criminal trespass must have their hunting, fishing, and trapping privileges revoked for up to 24 months if the trespass occurs either on property owned or administered by the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, or on any property while hunting, fishing, trapping, or collecting antlers, antler sheds, or animal horns. The Surface Transportation Board unanimously rejected Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern's proposed merger application on January 16th, saying it was incomplete and lacked required information such as full system impact analyses and the complete merger agreement. The rejection was procedural and does not signal whether the STB would ultimately approve a revised merger filing. Competing railroads and shipper groups, including agricultural interests, had urged the board to reject the application, citing concerns over reduced competition. The STB gave UP and NS until February 17th to indicate whether they will refile with a revised application due by June 22, 2026. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has issued a statewide disaster declaration to strengthen the state's response to the potential spread of the New World screwworm, a destructive parasite threatening livestock and wildlife. Although the fly has not been detected in Texas or the United States, its movement north from Mexico prompted the state to take preventative action and mobilize resources before an infestation occurs. The declaration allows Texas to fully deploy state prevention and response tools, including a joint response team led by the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and the Texas Animal Health Commission. The state is also partnering with the United States Department of Agriculture to develop a $750 million sterile screwworm production facility in Edinburgh aimed at eradication efforts if the pest reaches Texas. House Agriculture Chair Glenn G.T. Thompson is tentatively planning a Farm Bill markup for the week of February 23rd, though the timeline remains uncertain. Thompson has briefed House Republicans on the bill, which has not yet been formally introduced and is still awaiting cost estimates from the Congressional Budget Office, something that could delay committee action. GOP leaders hope to move the bill to the House floor before the Easter recess. The proposal is expected to mirror priorities from the Farm Bill that advanced out of committee in May 2024, but stalled with major funding items like commodity and crop insurance already addressed in earlier legislation. This version would focus more heavily on policy, including rural development, research, market access, risk management, and modernization of agricultural programs, while also serving as a vehicle for priorities such as E15 expansion and additional farmer aid. However, House Agriculture Committee members are divided on how quickly the bill can move. Some Republicans remain optimistic about advancing it within weeks, while Democrats caution that negotiations could slow, particularly following the recent death of a committee member and concerns over controversial provisions. Democrats have also expressed lingering frustration over past cuts to nutrition assistance, raising questions about bipartisan support for the bill. The Montana Department of Livestock confirmed a case of highly pathogenic avian influenza in a backyard flock of chickens and ducks in Carbon County on January 21st, marking the state's first detection of HPAI in 2026. The last confirmed case in Montana occurred in October 2025. Migratory waterfowl are the primary source of the virus, and while outbreaks are most common during spring and fall migration, infections can occur year-round and may affect other species, including cats and dairy cattle. State officials are urging poultry owners to increase biosecurity, house birds indoors when possible, and closely monitor flocks for signs of illness or sudden death. While the risk to the general public is considered low, people who handle sick or dead birds should take precautions. HPAI is not considered a food safety concern, as safeguards like milk pasteurization and proper cooking of poultry remain effective. The Montana Department of Livestock is asking producers to promptly report sick or dead poultry, wildlife, or unusual illness in dairy cattle to veterinarians or state officials. Spring wheat prices remain largely unchanged heading into 2026, a trend that directly affects Montana producers. Minneapolis spring wheat futures have stayed in a narrow range since early December, and cash prices in Montana are similar to North Dakota, generally hovering in the mid-$5 range with little recent movement. Large U.S. corn supplies continue to weigh on wheat markets, limiting upside potential. From a Montana perspective, heavy regional inventories are a key factor. Montana, along with North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, holds nearly 500 million bushels of wheat, about 30% of total U.S. supplies, creating pressure to move grain and capping price rallies. Ending stocks are higher than last year, and cheaper corn has reduced wheat use for feed. Internationally, record wheat production in the Southern Hemisphere and Europe is adding more pressure, making United States exports more competitive but harder to grow. While overall U.S. wheat sales are ahead of last year, hard red spring wheat exports are down, facing strong price competition from Canada. That competition has especially impacted Asian markets, though Canada's export pace has slowed slightly in recent weeks. Weather remains a wild card, particularly with winter conditions across parts of the U.S., but so far, no major market-moving damage has been confirmed. Looking ahead, planting decisions are important for Montana. Winter wheat acreage in the state is down 16%, and analysts expect some of those acres to shift back into spring wheat, even at current prices, due to limited alternative cropping options. Next, we will move into our members in the news section. Our own Wheatland Golden Valley County member, Ben Lefeldt, who recently joined us in Anaheim for the American Farm Bureau Convention, was recently on the road again, this time serving in his role as American Sheep Industry Association president at their convention in Reno, Nevada. They had a busy week covering some very important topics like harmful lamb imports, labor shortages, and lobbying the Trump administration for financial help to help offset low wool prices.
Well, it's a great convention. We got a lot of producers showing up. They were out at a ranch tour today. We got some executive board, business done, and we're ready to get into the meat and potatoes tomorrow. So it's going to be great. We've got a lot of variety of things happening. Even the Solar Grazing Association decided to have their board meeting in conjunction with us. So we've got a lot of synergies built across a lot of different organizations, and we're going to, really relate to those and build upon those this week. It's really getting back to our producers. That's why we're doing it. We've got an opportunity to look at our import structure now. What lamb are coming in? How is that affecting some of our lamb prices of some of our producers? And then really put together programs to grow our industry. We're not just talking about growing that industry where they've been suppressed in those prices, but growing our industry across the board.
Ben wasn't the only Montana Farm Bureau member having an impact at the ASI convention, though. Our own recent ACE class graduate, Andy Schwab, was honored with the National Shepherd's Voice Award for his coverage of the sheep industry, by print and broadcast outlets through his work at the Northern Ag Network.
Yeah, Haley, the Shepherd's Voice Award is given to a member of the media across the nation, and it recognizes someone who does outstanding year-long coverage of the sheep industry, whether that be in a print magazine or online or a broadcast outlet, doesn't matter. One member of the media they select every year to give this award to, and Wyoming Wool Growers nominated me as what they figured is their best version of the member of the media to cover their sheep industry, and I really appreciate them in their write-up of the Wyoming Wool Growers, but that Andy Schwab and Northern Ag Network are dedicated to agricultural news and marketing resources, as serving as a large region across the West. And they said that Andy is also a big success of the sheep industry's programs and events, supporting them through interviews, sponsorships, and on-site presence. Regardless of the event size, Andy and Northern Ag Network consistent coverage and believe in sharing information so sheep producers can be informed and make those informed, independent decisions. I would say this, Haley, this award means a lot to me, and I really appreciate the Wyoming Wool Growers for nominating me for this national award. There's a lot of folks out there that cover the sheep industry very well, and I feel honored to receive this. And I love that the Wyoming Wool Growers put in there Andy Schwab and Northern Ag Network, because it truly is a team effort to cover the sheep industry and the agricultural industry in general, as well as we cover Montana, Wyoming, and the western half, and North and South Dakota on radio programs and do online content as well. So it's important for us to make sure that we're getting that information out to those producers so they can make those informed decisions and know exactly what's happening in the sheep industry and the agricultural industry in general. So it means a lot for me to receive this national award, and I really appreciate them for nominating me for this.
Congratulations to Andy and Ben on some jobs very well done. Precision agriculture is expanding beyond crops and beginning to play a growing role in livestock production as producers face challenges tied to labor, climate, input costs, and changing consumer expectations. Montana Farm Bureau member and associate professor in Montana State University's School of Animal and Range Sciences, Sam Weifels, shared that research at the college suggests that while livestock technologies can be costly to adopt, they show promise in improving efficiency and potentially profitability in cattle operations. Technologies such as electronic feeding systems use EID tags to track individual animal intake and behavior, offering valuable data for research and large-scale operations. Accelerometers worn by cattle can monitor activity patterns to detect early signs of illness, stress, or reproductive cycles, often days before problems are visible to humans. GPS-based virtual fencing is also gaining attraction as a lower labor alternative to traditional fencing, helping producers manage grazing more efficiently as fencing costs rise. In another very exciting story, Montana Farm Bureau leaders Carl Mattson, Gene Curry, and Bob Lee were appointed to the Montana Farm Service Agency State Committee by U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins. Carl is a longtime operator of a no-till dryland grain farm in Chester that produces small cereal grains. He has led the farm as chief executive officer and board chairman for over 2 decades. He previously served as chairman of the Montana FSA State Committee during the first Trump administration. Gene is founder and president of a livestock operation as well as a livestock trucking enterprise based in Valier. The ranch includes farmland, pasture, hay meadows, and a 500-head backgrounding lot with plans for expansion. He previously served on the Montana FSA State Committee during the first Trump administration from 2020 to 2021 and sits on the Montana Board of Livestock. Lee is owner and operator of a diversified cattle and grain operation that raises crossbred cattle and grows hay and wheat. The Fergus County Farm Bureau member developed efficient grazing and water systems on the operation and applied sustainable practices to improve soil health and livestock production. Lee previously served on the Montana FSA State Committee during the first Trump administration. The appointed members of the Montana USDA Farm Service Agency State Committee are responsible for overseeing how federal farm programs are administered across the state and ensuring county FSA offices operate effectively and fairly. Their duties include supervising program implementation, handling appeals related to program decisions, and making sure services are delivered in line with federal farm policy. Committee members also serve as a bridge between USDA and the agricultural community by maintaining cooperative relationships with industry stakeholders and keeping producers informed about available FSA programs. Overall, their role is to help ensure FSA resources, assistance, and policies are carried out in the best interest of Montana's farmers and ranchers. While we're on the topic of Montana FSA, we have a special podcast segment for you all today. We recently received a letter to our membership from Montana FSA Director Mike Foster, and I'm going to read that to you all so you can remain in the loop on what efforts are being made on behalf of Montana farmers and ranchers at the national level from one of many horses' mouths. Since January 20th, 2025, President Donald J. Trump has been working around the clock to put American farmers and ranchers first after inheriting one of the toughest farm economies our country has faced in decades. Here in Montana, farmers and ranchers know the challenges firsthand. Rising input costs, volatile markets, extreme weather, and years of policies that prioritize bureaucracy over producers. This year, President Trump and U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins have worked at record speed to deliver real relief and long-term reforms, working hand in hand with the Farm Service Agency to ensure these resources are reaching our farmers and rural communities right here at home. The Trump administration has delivered more than $30 billion in ad hoc assistance to farmers nationwide since January 2025. Here in Montana, this includes $209.1 million through the Emergency Commodity Assistance Program, $124.2 million in disaster relief through the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program, and $144.2 million in assistance for specialty crop and livestock producers. These programs are helping farmers recover from weather disasters, inflation, and market losses that have been left unaddressed for years. Just as important, the Trump administration strengthened the farm safety net through legislation in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. For the first time in more than a decade, statutory reference prices for major commodities were raised by 10 to 21%, and more than 30 million new base acres were added to agriculture risk coverage and price loss coverage programs beginning in 2026. Crop insurance was also made more affordable, saving farmers over $400 million annually, with expanded support for beginning farmers and ranchers, a critical investment in the future of agriculture. USDA is also working to lower farmers' costs by restoring competition and cutting red tape. New actions with the Department of Justice are targeting price fixing and anti-competitive behavior in key input markets like seed, fertilizer, and equipment. Partnerships with the Department of Labor and Department of Homeland Security have also led to significant reforms to the H-2A program. An interim final rule published by the Department of Labor in October reformed the H-2A adverse effect wage rate, providing over $2 billion in annual savings for farmers, and a final rule published by DHS reduced the time it takes to navigate the H-2A application process by allowing concurrent filing. These reforms help to make the H-2A program more affordable and accessible, ensuring producers have the access to the labor they need at a more affordable cost. The USDA has been prioritizing the purchase of healthy, U.S.-grown commodities with the intent to purchase up to $970 million in this year alone under Section 32 of the Agriculture Act of 1935. These purchases support farmers while supplying food banks, schools, and nutrition programs, strengthening agriculture and food security in Montana's communities and regions. One of the most significant actions of this year was the announcement of $12 billion of farmer bridge payments designed to help farmers weather ongoing market disruptions, elevated production costs, and continued volatility while longer-term reforms take hold. This bridge assistance reflects President Trump's commitment to ensuring farmers are not left behind as the farm economy recovers. These payments are intended to provide stability and certainty for producers as USDA continues to deliver disaster assistance and implement the improvements made under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. While SDRP signups are ongoing, USDA is ensuring farmers have access to immediate relief today while positioning them for expanded market opportunities ahead. Under President Trump's leadership, we are building American agriculture to be stronger, more competitive, and more resilient. The Trump administration is expanding global market access for American agriculture. New trade deals and frameworks with more than 15 countries are opening doors for U.S. beef, grains, dairy, specialty crops, and biofuel exports. These wins matter here in Montana, where exports support farm income, rural jobs, and long-term economic growth. At the Farm Service Agency, our mission is simple but bold: Serve farmers, not bureaucracy. The Trump administration's Farmers First agenda is delivering real results, relief today, stronger safety nets tomorrow, and expanded markets for the future, but this is just the beginning. Every day, the Farm Service Agency will continue to fight for Montana's farmers and ranchers to ensure they have the tools, freedom, and opportunity to succeed for generations to come. We hope that account from Mike Foster helps you better understand what is and has been going on in Washington on behalf of U.S. farmers and ranchers, and builds your toolkit to make informed business decisions for your farm or ranch operation. Now we'll finish off today's episode with some upcoming events that you won't want to miss. University of Montana Western's Collegiate Farm Bureau chapter will be hosting a prime rib dinner on February 4th. Join the club along with Southwest County's Farm Bureau at Engine 1855 Montana Highway 91 in Dillon. There will be socializing, a full bar, and a whole lot of fun. Drinks will start at 5 p.m. with dinner being at 6. Don't miss out on this opportunity to support an amazing club. RSVP to 406-925-2283. The Montana State University Collegiate Farm Bureau chapter is holding a Valentine's Day dance and silent auction at the MFBF home office in Bozeman on February 13th. Tickets will cost $7 per single and $10 per couple with payments made at the door. It'll be a night full of dancing, socializing, and lots of awesome prizes like a variety of gift baskets, a quarter beef, handmade leather items, ski lift tickets, merchandise, and more. Doors open at 7 p.m. at 100 Red Mountain Drive. Don't forget that all proceeds from this event go directly to support the club and its activities, so you'll be supporting a great cause by attending. Ready to win your election? Join us February 26th and 27th at the Montana Farm Bureau State Office in Bozeman for our 2-day hands-on campaign training seminar. From crafting your campaign theme to managing your finances and even practicing mock TV and radio interviews, you'll leave prepared to run and win. Developed by the American Farm Bureau Federation with input from top political consultants, this seminar has helped candidates like Representative Russ Minor turn knowledge into victory. Seats are limited. Secure your spot and take the first step toward your campaign success. Dr. Katie Ryan has been all over the state recently sharing her knowledge as our members prepare for calving season. Calving demo presentations have been given to Cascade, Northwest, and Ravalli County Farm Bureaus, with our Montana young farmers and ranchers even being able to participate in a necropsy workshop during their leadership conference in Great Falls. If this sounds of interest to you, good news! She will be making another stop in Livingston at the Park County Fairgrounds on February 26th. The event will kick off at 4 p.m. with dinner and drinks provided. Whether you're entering your first or 50th calving season, there is a lot to learn from Dr. Ryan. And finally, calling all young agricultural leaders. Join us March 13th through 16th in Portland, Oregon for the 2026 American Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers Leadership Conference. Connect with peers from across the country, dive into hands-on workshops, hear from top speakers, and tour local agricultural operations and businesses. From policy and advocacy to innovation, niche marketing, and on-farm strategies, you'll leave inspired, energized, and ready to grow your farm and strengthen your Farm Bureau. Don't miss this chance to learn, share, and lead the future of agriculture. Registration closes February 6th, so hustle up and get registered for that if you are looking to attend. That wraps up today's episode. Thanks all you lovely members of the Farm Bureau family for joining me for today's podcast. I'll catch you all in the next one.